Happiness isn't getting what you want, it's wanting what you've got. Garth Brooks said that. Other people said it before him. Garth just happens to be the first one I heard say it. I think there are 3 driving forces behind a happy person. Number 1, striving towards something meaningful. Number 2, appreciation for what you have. And number 3, integrity for what's important to you. In my life, I have failed at all 3 of those, sometimes all at once. I didn't set out to be unhappy. In fact, I was acting on impulses that are individually reasonable, rational, and even desirable. I wanted to make people happy. I wanted them to like me. One of the most influential books I have ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People, self-published by Dale Carnegie in 1936. There was a few things in there, but one of the concepts in there was to cultivate a pleasing personality. I had a pretty rough early childhood, and it turned me into this awkward, distant, socially flailing boy who had trouble making friends or even speaking to people. The idea of cultivating a pleasing personality, well, that was exciting as hell. You mean people might actually like me? Like me? So I spent the next several years devoting my considerable youthful energy into doing just that. I am going to talk about some downsides, but first, I want to talk about the benefits. I credit a great deal of my personal success to that endeavor. It's likely a huge part of why a difficult, sometimes violent little boy grew into a successful, respected man. Over the decades, that pleasing professional demeanor got me indoors and won hearts and minds. I also worked my ass off every place I worked, but making people feel good whenever they were around me, that shone the best light on me and my work at every step of the way. New positions, promotions, new customers, new clients, hard work, and that pleasing personality. It took me from a position flipping burgers at a fast food joint to managing international teams of engineers at major corporations. Mr. Carnegie's advice is solid. I recommend it strongly, especially as a personal beneficiary of it. There are other ingredients to success. Some I have talked about before, some I will go into in other videos, but it's an absolutely critical piece of a winning strategy. So, what was missing? Me. I hadn't had much of a personality before becoming a people pleaser, or more precisely, not one that knew how to interact with other people. And somehow, I'd left myself behind in my effort to become someone better. There's a limit to how high you can go as someone that everyone likes. There are vanishingly few Betty Whites in the world, and for all my efforts, I was not a Betty White. If you want to make an omelet, you've got to break some eggs. I've heard that quote or seen it in 1,000 books and 1,000 movies, and usually it is used as an excuse for doing something awful. When it's not an excuse enabling psychopaths, it's a metaphor for how we turn something that's merely potential, like eggs in a shell, into something useful. Cooked food that nourishes you and others. In the context of being pleasing, it means that I spent too much of my life carrying around whole eggs, even as I starved myself and people who came into my circle. You have a lot more to offer the world than raw eggs. A pleasing, professional personality opens doors, while a principled stance moves hearts and people to greatness and to great endeavors. I have a lot of love for people, and confining myself to only the things that will offend or upset the sensibilities of absolutely no one fails to serve the very people I love in the best way that I am capable. There's no benefit to insulting people or elevating them for their inborn traits. People don't get to choose their height. People don't get to choose their attractiveness or where they were born or how they're colored. But they do choose their actions and their principles. Call them out when they're wrong and stand for your own principles and defend them when they're challenged or insulted. The people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Find your tribe, the people who will do anything for you and for whom you would do anything. You find them when you allow your own light to shine. Not only does that let them home in on you, but shining your light is also how you most clearly see the world. So if you've been holding back who you really are, just stop. No one will thank you for that. Crack the egg. Show up as yourself. The people who matter will love you for it.